Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal, the International. We'll begin with our top stories. A gang of armed robbers that have been a constant threat to the denizens of the neighborhoods of Yaoundé have been apprehended by the police. The presumed criminals that operated both at night and in broad daylight did not only inflict a pain on their victims but equally killed some heartlessly. And after suffering from second-degree burns inflicted on her by her roommates and colleagues, 20-year-old orphan Kelly was discharged from the hospital and is now out of danger. She was inflicted the pains by her colleagues because she reportedly stole the sum of 37,000 francs CFA. And the government has announced a package to be distributed to the private print and online media in Cameroon for 2023. The amount to the tune of 119 million francs CFA has been described by publishers as peanuts that can't curb the economic challenges of the press. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. A gang of armed robbers that have been a constant threat to denizens of the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, have been apprehended by the police. The presumed criminals that operated both at night and also in broad daylight did not only inflict pain on their victims, but equally killed them heartlessly. They were fished out by forces of law and order following numerous complaints by the population. Haisencha reports.
They call themselves Lame Singli, roughly translated to mean a crazy army, a presumed gang of thieves and criminals that have been giving sleepless night to the population of Ekuno, Kondengi, Esumba, Awai Escalier and other neighborhoods of Yaoundé 4, operating without mercy to the point of squeezing life out of their victims with these deadly weapons like the assassination of 65-year-old Chenche Raymond, which triggered the massive deployment of police elements of the Central Police Station No. 4, cracking down some of the culprits. Their criminal actions well structured.
It is a gang of at least 13 persons that operates like an army. They attack from zone to zone with motorbikes. And when they operate at night, they still come back during the day to threaten and beat up their victims, warning them not to dare report anything to the police. They are children who grew up in the neighborhood. Their parents know them well, but they cannot denounce.
The police has also arrested some family members like this retired soldier and the young girl accused of being accomplices and facilitators of the deadly operations.
The father we have arrested facilitated the disappearance of his two sons, twins, who are the heads of the gang that killed Mr. Chenche.
Those still on the run do not have a hiding place, she insists.
We are committed to hunting them. We shall apprehend them soon. They cannot run away from this very world.
The head of the Central Police Station No. 4 calls on the population to denounce criminals mingling within them to the nearest police units or simply dial the toll-free number 115 to quickly report such cases for rapid intervention.
And traders in Cameroon's economic city Douala have decried the increasing price hikes in basic commodities. Items like gari and maize that were considered cheap and highly consumed by a majority have realized an exponential increase. Gladys Ambodibank has been talking with some traders at the Dakar market in Cameroon's economic city Douala. Her story.
From 1,000 francs CFA to 1,300 CFA francs, this 2.5-liter container of gari now cost 1,500 francs CFA. The hikes in prices of this granulated cassava extract preoccupies traders.
Gary now costs between 1,500 and 2,000 francs CFA, whereas there were quantities I sold in the past at 1,000 francs. When I sought to know why the prices have skyrocketed, I was told poor cassava accounted for this, and because cassava is also used for the production of other items.
This granulated cassava extract, one of Cameroon's staple food, was highly consumed in the recent past by a majority of households for its affordability, just like rice, which was one of the cheapest foodstuffs. But when we visited the Dakar market in the Douala 3 subdivision, September 12, 2023, we learned the prices of bags of rice keep increasing, automatically affecting retail prices.
At first, price of rice was 11,500, 10,000, 9,500, but now the rice have increased to 12,500, 13,000, even 14,000 some of the rice. And rice like Riz Parfumé, they are now 75,000, 16,000, and they are very expensive. They are not affordable for the moment.
Traders have also expressed fears that palm oil used in many traditional delicacies in Cameroon might further increase.
Good quality palm oil costs 1,000 francs. Today we buy a gallon at 20,000 francs CFA. Same quantity that cost 15,000 francs in the past. Reason why a liter has moved from 800 francs to 1,000 francs CFA. We are afraid the prices might reach 1,500.
A recent report from the National Institute of Statistics indicates that rising prices have continued to slow down household consumption in Cameroon due to limited demand in the first quarter of 2023.
And after suffering from second-degree burns inflicted on her by her roommates and her colleagues, 20-year-old orphan Kelly has been discharged from the hospital and is now out of danger. She was inflicted the pains by her colleagues because she reportedly stole the sum of 37,000 francs CFA. More on the story with our reporter, Fru William.
The 20-year-old lady went through hell in the hands of her roommates and colleagues last August when they poured a bucket of hot water mixed with salt and pepper on her for allegedly stealing the sum of 37,000 francs. Placed under detention, they are accused of attempted murder, assault and aggravated kidnapping of minor and indecent assault.
En effet, 3 de ses collègues serveuses l'ont enfermée dans une chambre, pendant que 2 autres...
Actually, 3 of her colleagues locked her up in a room, while 2 others stood by the door. The victim was tortured and poured water mixed with pepper and salt by the others.
Lui a versé un mélange d'eau bouillante avec du piment et du sel.
The scene took place in a well-known building in the Brazzaville neighborhood in Douala, where they live in groups. On the night of the incident, one of their colleagues, Mary, suffered the same ordeal. We are told she survived because the water was not at boiling point, as she managed to escape by jumping from the 3rd floor of the building and rushed to the police station. Returning to the building with the police officers, they discovered a second crime had been committed.
La victime a subi des brûlures extrêmement graves. Sous la coordination de Monsieur le délégué régional à la Sûreté nationale,
the victim suffered aggravated burnings. Under the coordination of the regional delegate for national security, the instructions given helped in having the victim treated at the hospital free of charge.
Il a conduit vers une structure hospitalière permettant sa prise en charge adéquate.
Detained at the New Bell Central Prison, 4 of the alleged perpetrators risked prison sentences ranging from 10 years to life imprisonment. Meanwhile, one of them is still on the run while the building where the crime was committed has been sealed.
And classes have remained closed in some parts of the northwest region of Cameroon, as some teachers have simply deserted their posts for fear of separatist reprisals. And again, with the imposed lockdown, the governor of the northwest region has threatened to drag all state agents, including teachers as well, who fail to answer present at their duty post before a disciplinary council in the days ahead. More in the following story. Northwest Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique has threatened to call all state agents, including features, who fail to answer presence at their duty posts before a disciplinary council in the days ahead. The warning comes within the context of the lockdown and ghost towns imposed by separatists in a bid to disrupt the start of the new school year in the English-speaking parts of Cameroon. Reports from the Northwest region in particular indicates that many teachers have simply deserted their posts for fear of separatist reprisals. But Governor Lele-Lafrique has remained firm. At a recent coordination conclave in Bamenda, he ordered his collaborators to provide him with a list of civil servants who have abandoned their posts so that they can be brought before the regional disciplinary council for radical sanctions to follow. Observers say the fear of being targeted by separatist government school teachers especially have abandoned their jobs and prefer to work at the so-called community schools, most of which are managed by cessationists. And factors hindering the smooth implementation of the disability approach in development policies, programs and projects for an inclusive society are under evaluation in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, the focus of the 2023 ordinary session of the National Committee for the Rehabilitation of Socio-Economic Integration of Persons with Disabilities, chaired by the Social Affairs Minister this day in Yaoundé. More with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamu.
With disability have the same advantages in the school environment like the normal ones. Bottlenecks hindering the smooth implementation of an inclusive educational society under examination.
They should talk to us and tell us so that where there are lapses together on board, we see if we can strategize to ensure that these children with disability, while in an inclusive school with children otherwise normal or apt, they are non-marginalized.
To the Minister of Social Affairs, the disability approach should be in development policies, programs and projects.
This would leave the Ministry of Social Affairs to its role of interface, advocacy and technical support.
So too the political, social and economic development initiatives.
Persons with disability feel more taken into account with full equality and dignity.
Visually impaired and journalists by profession, he outlined some of their challenges.
Infrastructure that is not well developed. You have the content that does not really take into consideration persons with disabilities, particularly those of visual impairment and hearing impairment. And you have also people who are dyslexic and who cannot learn easily.
Issues under discussion at the two-day session of National Committee for the Rehabilitation and Socioeconomic Reintegration of Persons with Disabilities. On the theme, Inclusive Education in Cameroon, stakes, challenges and prospects in the context of promoting inclusive society.
Teachers as well as students will henceforth work hand in glove with digital platforms in order to better and easily educate and be educated. Respectively, the education stakeholders in the Wuri Division met today, September 13, to discuss strategies in view of developing a new approach to digital education. More on that story with our reporter, William Fro.
It is in a bid to foster digital education that stakeholders in the educational sector all gathered on the 13th of September at Government High School just in Douala. We want to develop in the learner the spirit of creativity and making him completely independent. That is, carrying out his proper research with the orientation given to them by the teacher. At the gathering, decisions and methods were discussed on how to get the initiative running for the 2023-2024 academic year and how important it is since the year's academic theme is in direct relation to the digitalization of lessons. Cameroon schools have no choice other than embracing this because it is an inevitable process. So, he who will not welcome it will be late in his era. It should be noted, as the initiative is highly welcomed in the educational sector, rumors have it that some teachers are, however, threatening to take to the street, decrying poor working conditions.
Young people in Cameroon have been urged to develop interest in our coffee sector, as there are plans to support young farmers improve the quality and quantity of coffee in the country. The call was made September 13, 2023 in Koptamo, a locality in the Nun Division, West region of Cameroon, during a launch of a new coffee project geared towards improving the sector. Gladys Abodiban completes that story.
Competition, climate, pests and diseases, inadequate storage facilities, high labor costs and low and unstable prices have been some of the challenges coffee farmers have faced over the years in Cameroon. Difficulties that discourage many young people from investing in the sector. We also need improved seedlings. We learned only 250 kilograms of coffee can be gotten from a hectare, and this discourages young people from investing in the sector. There is need for sensitization and coffee varieties that can take a shorter period to produce. And also, because we lack labor, the production basins should be given a facelift to attract more young people. The Minister of Agriculture, Gabriel Bairobe, wants to relaunch this culture and support coffee produced in Cameroon to reach international standards. He was in Koptamo, a locality in the Nun Division, September 12, 2023, to launch this coffee project.
Coffee is a very important product, involving a lot of people in this area, and we are happy that and lucky that we can have Arabica and Robusta products here. A lot of producers doesn't want to produce coffee now because it's very expensive and the price go down. But we let them know that they will have good price if the quality is good quality.
With these projects, coffee farmers are henceforth expected to benefit from their yields.
It's very important to transform so we can share our coffee with Gabon, with Nigeria, with all, with Guinea Equatorial, all those neighbors who doesn't produce coffee.
Government is therefore ready to support the farmers financially and materially for them to produce quality coffee in great quantity.
The entire Canal International head office in Douala was today transformed into a sensitization and a screening center for its workers at initiative of Fondation Cliquez, which falls within the framework of a campaign I Know My Blood Pressure, What About You, and partnering with Canal is a way of drawing more attention from other Cameroonians. More in the following story. It is an established fact that most workers spend all day at work, some stressed up to the point of provoking health hazards like cardiovascular diseases, described as a silent killer. Statistics in Cameroon puts 1 on 3 Cameroonians at risk of high blood pressure. This revelation has sent a warning to all, and the personnel of Canal International are conscious of the dangers. The entire Canal International head office in Douala has been transformed into sensitization and screening center for its workers.
Also, the Fondation Cliquez want to really fight against hypertension because, as we have been noticing, that is 1 Cameroonian out of 3 have hypertension, and when you know that cardiovascular disease are the first cause of death in the world, and even here in Cameroon, you need to take time to raise awareness on it. That's why you're coming to company, because most of the time workers say that they don't have time to go on those sports, they don't have time to go to the hospital, so you're coming to them to teach them and raise awareness again on hypertension.
This initiative of Fondation Cliquez falls within the framework of a campaign, I Know My Blood Pressure, What about you? Partnering with Canal International. It's a way of creating more public awareness for Cameroonians to know their blood pressure status. A campaign very much appreciated by workers of Group Canal International.
Sometimes you come to the office, you don't know what is happening with you. Sometimes you are very busy, you don't even have the time to go for follow-up or for check-up. It is important, and it has even revealed a lot of things. There are a few things that we have in us that we don't know that these things exist.
I was surprised to learn that 1 out of every 3 Cameroonians are hypertensive, and most of them do not even know. So they want us to actually know our status. They told us, I learned what we are not supposed to do, what we are not supposed to consume, the lifestyle we are supposed to live in order to live, to avoid being hypertensive.
There's the program, Je connais ma tension, I know my blood pressure. We are here to fight and raise awareness to fight against hypertension and cardiovascular diseases. And we thank Canal International for this opportunity to continue to raise this, to give to our colleagues, family, friends, the good news,
As workers grapple with the new tips on how to combat the disease, so too is a partnership between Fondation Cœur et Vie and management of Group Canal International. And that report brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. Take another rendezvous same time tomorrow. Good night.